such as the free thinkers?
Well, I have founded my own organization, which is a society of separationists, and our goal...
Well, that's separation of church and state.
Separation of church and state. There are, I think, right now in America, about 13 different organizations that are atheistic in character, but these organizations are either afraid to admit it because of reprisals or they have some other ideas. I don't know. I've had arguments with them because I think they should come out and say they're atheists. The American Humanist Association is an atheist organization, and they insist on saying that they're humanists in order to cover up the nature and purpose of what they're doing. I was on their board of directors for 3 years, and I couldn't stand it because I felt that we should identify ourselves for what we are. The ethical-culturists, these persons are atheists. Why don't they say so?
I would have to disagree with you with some of the humanists that I know. Does the name Dr. Leroy Bowman mean anything to you?
Of course.
No, Leroy Bowman has been on my show many, many times, 100 times at least.
He's been on the board of directors, too.
That's right. Now, he has always been very outright in his statement that he does not believe in a God, and that certainly would indicate to me that he could be labeled an atheist.
Yes, but you take a look at the literature that the American Humanist Association gets out.
I have not studied it, I will admit that too.
The literature that they get out is quite timid, And what they do is they take almost a straight communist line on this, and I mean in this relationship. The Communist Party, incidentally, in America hates my guts pretty bad because of this. They feel that the only way to fight religion is to fight it through emphasis of the positive aspects of science. And this is what the American Humanist Association does. All they do is emphasize the positive aspects of science. They never go into an analysis of religion. They never try to do anything in relation to the history of religion, the psychology of religion, the literature of religion, comparative religion, and what I call the psychopathology of religion, because there's a tremendous amount of pathology in religion. They never go into this. Instead, they have a constant emphasis of just scientific ventures. Now, then some of the other organizations call themselves secularists. There's the USA, the United Secularists of America. They're atheists. There's the ARA, the American Rationalist Association, and rationalists are atheists. There's the Freethinkers what is Joseph Lewis? Freethinkers of the World?
I didn't know that, and I think Freethinkers.
The Freethinkers Society, and these are atheists. Then there's something called the Friendship Liberal League down in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and they're atheists. The Truth Seeker out of San Francisco is an atheist group, and they call themselves Truth Seekers. And of course, Paul Krasner is an atheist, and he calls himself a realist, and he labels his magazine The Realist. But incidentally, the entire inception of The Realist was as an atheist magazine. And then, of course, you have Lyle Stewart with his Independent. And this is an atheist philosophy throughout the Independent magazine.
Well, I happen to know Lyle Stewart very well, and I would not call him an atheist. I would say that he is a possibly not a believer. I was going to say non-believer, but I don't want to use that one. And I know Lyle very well. He's been on the program.
Well, they label themselves by different terms, is what I'm saying. But
you have a teenage son, isn't that true?
Yes and no. My son was teenage when he started, but now the teenage boy who was involved in the Bible prayer is 22 years of age, and my wee little boy is 13.
All right, now I want to talk about the 22-year-old.
All right, go ahead.
When you gave birth to this young man, did you and Mr. Murray send him to church or Sunday school or anything? Were you believers at that time?
No, no. I have been a non-believer since I've been about 13 years of age. I've been, as soon as I found out the proper word for myself, I became an atheist. But until then, I thought that I was a heretic for a while, because I have good background in upper middle class, and we just didn't run into words like atheist and agnostic. And I was in the Army, as a matter of fact, when I ran into an atheist doctor, and we were having a discussion one night, and she says, "Well, you know what you are. You're nothing but an atheist." And I was so glad I had found that word, because then I knew what I was from there on in. But when both of my children were born, my parents told me that they would have neither child in their home ever unless I had them baptized immediately, because my family is Presbyterian, and they believe in infant damnation, that if the child is not immediately baptized, and the child would die even in a day, that if the child was not baptized, the child would be consigned to everlasting hell. So my parents insisted, for instance, that I baptize the children, and I said to them, do you understand that I don't believe in this? I think it's nonsense. And the only thing this means is that the child will have a wet head, and he doesn't know what's going on. He's only 2 or 3 days old. And they said, well, still, we want you to baptize the child. So I had both of my children baptized.
Well, this was for your folks, really.
Yeah, for my folks. But now my husband would go to church, my parents would go to church, and
Mr. Murray was not an atheist?
No.
Was he a believer?
Yes.
Or he didn't make up his mind?
No, he
really knew.
He belonged to a church. He knew.
What church did he belong to?
Roman Catholic.
Was this difficult?
No, I don't have any trouble. This is the funny thing.
He had the trouble.
I never have any trouble with this. My parents had a tremendous amount of trouble with my being an atheist, but I never had any trouble seeing that they were a little bit loony, you know, and believed in religion. It doesn't bother me that much.
I think that's being unfair, because we have the Reverend Walter Martin with us.
I think he's a little loony.
Well, I agree with you, too, but he's a nice loony.
For a man that hasn't said a word, Murray knows an awful lot about me.
No, Reverend, you're not here to talk tonight. You're not here to talk. I just thought you'd like to sit with
One would gather that general opinion, yes.
That's right. I would just like to find out from you, Reverend Walter Martin, and I've talked with you, I don't know, maybe 50 or 60 times you've been on the program. Do you really have any proof that there is a God?
Well, of course.
Remember what Madalyn said. I fell into it.
Well, according to Mrs. Murray, I don't know whether they call her Madalyn or not, but according to Mrs.
You might at the beginning, but by 4 o'clock.
Oh, I don't know. I have listened to her and tried to keep up with her, although she's a difficult person to keep up with since she moves around so rapidly. This, of course,
all has to be organized religion.
Yes, I might say that this might be hastened by the fact that it's more difficult to hit a moving target. I don't know, but at least I think that there is what we would call a little a priori judgment, and that means that nothing more than prejudging a certain thing on the basis of one's own prejudices. Now, nobody is free of prejudice, and nobody's mind is free of logical implications drawn from experience and from the world in which we live. When you use the word evidence, Mrs. Murray realizes immediately, as a lawyer, it means one thing in the canons of evidence in a courtroom. It means another thing to a scientist in a laboratory. It may mean something quite different to an archaeologist reconstructing sections of a civilization. To a philosopher, logically, it may mean something quite different. And to a theologian, it may be a composite of all of them.
To a theologian, it's out of this world.
Well, now, that isn't always true, you see. I think that, first let me make a statement about some of the things Mrs. Murray said. And so,
I wonder if you could cooperate with the moderator for at least 5 minutes or so. I'll rephrase the question again. Reverend Walter Martin, do you have definite proof that there is a God?
Oh, definitely.
I see.
I'll be willing to discuss it.
Incidentally, which proof is this? Which argument are you
As I just said a moment ago, I think it's a mosaic, and I think that it can be argued from specific viewpoints, and I'm willing to take a whirl at it, but I think
it wouldn't be a tapestry.
No,
it's
mosaic.
Because it's hard.
No,
hard to
because it's
from Moses, I guess.
Well, no, a lot of good things were derived from Moses, incidentally. But I think that in order to really honestly evaluate the Society of Separationists, which I have a copy courtesy of Mrs. Murray, the aims of the society and so forth.
No, I wouldn't give you anything, believe me. I'm sure that you got it from the station.
Well, it just said for Reverend Martin on here, and it was attached to it. I guess it has to do with you.
This is true. If you have anything from this, I never give anything to religious people. It's useless.
Well, see, now here, of course, you see, is part of the problem that I think we face. You made a definition of an agnostic before, which is not a classical definition, and Huxley is antedated somewhat by Aristotle. He is antedated somewhat by Socrates. He is antedated by a great many philosophers.
Are you saying that they said that they were agnostic?
No, just let me finish. The usage of the word in Greek, agnosis, is not what Huxley is talking about. The word agnosis, classically in religion, and as a professor of comparative religions, former professor of comparative religions,